Welcome, everybody, to a new edition of UFO Man Live. My name is Tim, or UFO Man. My co-host for this evening is the legendary Tom Reed. Tom, take a bow. There we go.
Thank you very much. I saw that intro, man. It's like, alien line dancers. You got to love Brothers of Alien Rock.
Yeah, alien line dancers, exactly.
So, go ahead.
That was a song, that was written for my channel by Brothers of Alien Rock. I thought it was really cool, so I made that cool video, and
it's awesome.
It's kind of morphed over the months to what it is now.
They're from Florida too. They're from Orlando. Yeah. So how's my levels? Okay.
Yeah, your levels are fine.
Okay.
Tonight we have our main guest, who is Rhiannon Alley. She is an explorer extraordinaire. I mean, she's been to over 18 countries, looking into off the normal tourist track of ancient civilizations, tombs, and the like. And she may get into a little bit of that tonight. Also, she featured and produced a documentary called something like Coral Castle Secrets that we're going to go over tonight with David Pierce Rodriguez, our other guest. I can't talk tonight. I don't know what's wrong.
That's kind of frustrating trying to get some of these kinks out tonight.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's great. I worked with him a couple of weeks ago, and he took us on a tour of the Coral Castle. Man, it was I don't know. It opened my eyes, and Rhiannon did a great job. There was all kinds of film crews there, so we had a lot to talk about. So, Tim, where do you start?
So, Rhiannon,
your audio is a little bit distorted. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to say that you also have a channel called Sky Tribe, correct?
Yes. So,
Sky Tribe Ancient Mysteries, featuring your host, Rhiannon Alley. As an explorer, Rhiannon has been to over 18 countries and is ready to take you along for the ride, exploring the mystery of our ancient history.
Sorry, I just thought I'd pop that in there real quick.
Love it. So, Sky Tribe Ancient Mysteries. I started kind of late in the game because I was traveling so much and seeing all these amazing places, these ancient temples and ruins, and just diving in there. And I was so in the element that I wasn't documenting by video of everything that I was doing and seeing. I was taking more like still pictures and just posting that and documenting that. So everybody wanted to live through me. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe you jumped down into a burial chamber. So I said, okay, I'm going to do some Laura Croft, adventures, and I'm going to film it, and I'm going to make it called Sky Tribe Ancient Mysteries. And I started it before the pandemic, and then the pandemic happened, and I was in Israel at the time. So when the pandemic happened, it slowed me up a little bit. But then I did my second episode right before I left Israel, and then launched that. And then when I got back to the States, I was looking for my next ancient episode. And I was having such a hard time trying to find something really cool. I mean, I've been to Stonehenge, I've been to a lot of different places, but I wanted something that was just off the beaten path that wasn't really known so that I could expose it and just kind of dive in down that rabbit hole. So I asked Tom, I said, hey, would you want to be a part of my third episode and go to the Georgia Guidestones and check that out? Because it was just such a mysterious place. Like, why are these stones, these huge Stonehenge-like stones in the middle of nowhere in a cow field in Georgia? Why? So him and I started going back and forth, and we were trying to crack the code on the Georgia Guidestones. And I say about 3 weeks before we actually were planning to go out there, our phones blew up because the Georgia Guidestones blew up.
Right.
Yeah, somebody blew them up. Yeah.
We were scheduled to go there like that weekend.
And and I was like, what? How can this be? They have been there for a gazillion years. And here we are ready to go out there because I thought, post-pandemic, Georgia Guidestones, depopulation plan, as part of their commandments,
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
So then later I find out that it's 666 miles from the UN. 666. And then anyway, bottom line is we couldn't go there. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do next? Well, then I thought, Tom, you want to go see the Coral Castle? And he just lit up like a Christmas tree. He was like, yeah, let's do it. Tell me when and where. So here we go again.
Oh, and that got put off.
Exactly. So here we go again, planning the great escape, go film. And here comes the hurricane.
Hurricane Ian. Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh my God, everything we're choosing there's something coming up, And so the hurricane came, we had to postpone everything, and we postponed it for the next weekend because I'm like, we're doing this. Nothing is stopping us. We are going out there and filming. Well, Laura, the director for the Coral Castle, she's like, well, hey, it just so happens to be the annual ghost tour that David from Prison Paranormal is going to be putting on. And I'm like, the annual ghost tour, that just spices this up more. I mean, this is more interesting.
It was like it was meant to be.
It was a bonus.
Yeah.
And it was a full moon.
And you guys got a lot of stuff. I mean, it was just from the Georgia Guidestones to being put off to go there. And then he was, Dave was there. And then we got, I was like floored that you caught so much. And so, and you're right. It just it was almost like it was everything that was to bring you somewhere else kind of kept, roping you back into this weekend that you filmed there. I don't think it could have been better. The weather was good. Day was awesome. You had drones. I mean, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, we got some good drone footage. And so our target to release this episode, because it's going to go into post-production, I think like next week. So it's going to, the original launch is going to be November 15th. That's the aim for Sky Tribe Ancient Mysteries Coral Castle episode. But it was just amazing.
Who was the main photographer that you had from VP? Was it VPN Productions or something like that? He was pretty famous too, wasn't he, in his own right?
Yes.
Well, who was? Do you remember?
It just so happened that my original video guy, everything just started happening. Like he said, yes, he could do it. And then all of a sudden he said, no, I can't do it. You're on your own. And that was just like a couple of weeks away from the film. I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? Now I got to find another film crew. And so I actually did find another one, and it was just perfect. We got some good sponsors for this episode that helped make this happen. And we just traveled down there to Coral Castle and just hit the ground running. And it was just such a unique place. Like I've been to so many ancient and mysterious places, but I have to say, this is no joke. This ambiance of the Coral Castle has a special feel to it. And it's wild because you think it's just a tourist attraction. And yeah, it's touristy. I mean, it's probably one of the more tourist attractions that I've been to actually film. But there's layers of mystery behind this. And Tom and I, we were beating the pavement trying to figure out how we could crack the code on this. And actually, him and I we did. We went over the story left and right, front and back. And then when we got there, that's when we started realizing there was just more questions than answers. There was just more holes than that we could even come up with. And now we're kind of stumped. Now we're feeling like, wow, there's just nothing makes sense. Right. Tom?
Yeah. I had this idea how he could have lifted the rocks to some degree. And I was looking to see if there was like marks around. Yeah, I know it's crazy. Like a chain around the block. And maybe, I've seen people put a van up and use the hub as a hoist, and you tighten the rope and it lifts. But the van would have been heavier, had to be heavier than the rocks. And some of those, right, Dave? I think they were 20,000, 30,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's like there's 30-ton, huge rocks. And not only that, he moved it from 1926 when it was built. He moved it from Florida City to Homestead, where it is now. He moved all those rocks one more time. You know,
Kind of
that's
built it
crazy.
twice.
And
Right?
that's
That's
a
how he did it.
mystery in itself because, we talked about it. He had a truck to put all these stones on and transported it, 10 miles away?
Yeah, an
Yeah.
old
So
Ford.
how would this
truck.
truck not literally break
Oh yeah,
with the
It-
suspension?
they- quarter ton trucks, half-ton trucks. These things are like 8 tons.
And he had a 10-ton tripod, from what I remember there.
Yeah,
So
it just doesn't make sense. So
Well,
we
I actually
were there, and I've been kind of reading up on it. And the more you look into it, the more confused you get, right? I mean, nothing adds up. It just doesn't add up. So
I actually found a small blurb that I'm going to put up here.
okay,
It says in 23, Ed Leeds Scullman began creating his coral castle called Rockgate Park on a patch of land he purchased in Florida City with no modern construction tools or conveniences and equipped with only hand tools and a fourth grade education. Somehow he managed to construct over 2 million pounds of coral. Although his materials were commonly called stony coral, the material used is really oolitic limestone, which is plentiful throughout southeastern Florida and is probably why he chose it for its bid. But what I wanted to point out is here. He worked under the cover of night and by only the light of a lantern when nobody could watch him, making it impossible to know just how he completed his mammoth project. One night, however, 2 teenagers reportedly happened to witness the construction, and they later told police that rocks were levitating in midair like hydrogen balloons. Ed also claimed to have used no mortar, yet no light can pass through where the stones meet. He also came from a family of Latvian stonemasons, and he incorporated many Masonic symbols throughout the coral castle. Many believe that occultist Masonic practices offer the only explanation for the castle's creation, and nosy neighbors said they heard him repeating incantations over the stones.
so can I jump in here and ask a question or two?
Sure.
So Dave, you've been working there on and off for how many years?
So about 5 years. I mean, I've been investigating that place for about 11, but they finally let me. I did enough TV shows over there, like little Latin shows around here, that they let me be their ghost tour guide.
Oh,
So
like
they asked me,
Telemundo? Did you work with Telemundo?
What's that?
Did you work with Telemundo?
Yeah, I did Telemundo. I did something for Univision there once, and I
Okay.
think Mega TV even at one point. But it's like they got to know me, and they didn't really. It's a place where, like, I mean, you know Laura, who runs it over there. They're just not very trusting of people and stuff, and it's an older family that owns it, and they're just really, I mean, I didn't really think they would want a ghost tour. They came and asked me to do it because, I mean, a lot of people don't want to do ghost tours. They don't want to be known as, and I know that place wants to be known as more of like, the mysterious, how did you do the rocks move and stuff. But I found enough stuff there that, I mean, oolitic limestone is what, a lot of haunted places are made out of, that, whether it's the coral or you get, any other form of limestone. And it's got that kind of the property that has that, the tape theory, stone tape theory that, holds that energy. And that's probably one of the reasons that's the rocks that he moved, I mean, maybe if he did something that had something to do with, audio and resonance and all this, yeah, the limestone maybe is the kicker as to why it. Not only that, but I mean, I was telling these guys that it's on a ley line. You've got that St. Peter's Square, the what's it called, the Windrose marker there at the Vatican, and that points directly right through the center of Ed's room. Even it goes right through the middle of that whole structure, and I mean, there's got to be something to it.
Doors open up in line with it too, right? The front door, the back door, or the gates, if you will.
Exactly. He knew what he was doing, and he moved it there. That second time when he ended up moving it to where it is now, he must have known this, because it's also what falls along it is there's a Miami Circle there. That's this old the Indian tribe that was there, had their religious things going on at this Miami circle, and it's also in that same path. So maybe they knew something as well. Who knows?
So Rhiannon and I were talking about the possibility, and we're trying to go outside the box a little bit. And we were trying to see what kind of, blood type, he had, and look into his, background and records. Is she frozen again? You there? Okay. And we were there's like an alien head that's built into the stone there, like an alien face.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we saw that.
And then you have, what is it? The Polaris telescope.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this, what's called the alien head, a Polaris telescope. There's, a lot that points to the stars. And so Rhiannon and I were like, maybe there was, a higher intelligence involved in this thing.
There's a lot of things in threes also there. And that's kind of like, you get that mystical things in threes. I mean, I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but he planned that place out. He knew what he was doing.
So Rhiannon, do you think there's an alien connection to this? Because didn't he also say that there were, he knew the secrets to levitating, rocks and that kind of thing, like the pyramids, because that's your background, really.
I mean, there is something just like, okay, Jesus walked on water. How did Jesus do that? There was a lot of special people that had special gifts, talents, and abilities that did questionable things. So could he been somebody from another planet on this?
I mean, he was like 98 pounds.
There is so many questions about this. I mean, I don't put anything off the table. And I also, now his last name is Lead Skounen. Skounen means stone. We found that out. That's kind of interesting. Oh, stonemasons. And also, David, now, when we were taking the tour, there were certain remnants of Freemasons. They keep talking about like the triangle and the symbols of the Freemasons.
Yeah, the Masonic.
Right?
As far as I know, he was a Freemason. I mean,
so
I think
could
he was a
his
Freemason. That's what I've heard.
Could his family, his father and grandfather, may have been in the secret society and they had certain secrets that they passed down to him? He didn't need a high education. He already had the secrets.
That's true. You don't hear much about his family. What was his dad? Was his dad a Mason? I mean, especially was his whole family Mason with a name like that?
They were Masons in general. But could they have been part of the secret society?
Mm-hmm.
And could he have been given these secrets to levitation? And also, I don't want to give too much away because you got to see the show.
Right.
But the black box.
Yeah.
The black box, nobody still knows what the heck that was.
And then there's the idea of harmonics, right? So, Dave, you're familiar with the harmonics?
Yeah, like that resonant harmonics type of thing going on there. Then also that has to do with the ley lines and stuff.
Are you both talk about this? I mean, you guys have the same idea when it comes to that? Do you really think that played a part?
I mean, if kids saw him using music or singing or whatever to raise stones, I mean, that's a story that, I mean, people have heard about. That area of Homestead is small. Even today, I mean, I think if someone does something in Homestead, the neighbors probably know. It's not like
they changed their diet.
Not Miami, it's a smaller town.
About it, yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you have to see it to believe it type of thing. But if there's stories about it, and he was smart doing it at nighttime, if he was doing that, he definitely moved those stones somehow. And he didn't do it with one truck and a 10-ton, pulley.
There were no horses, there were no animals. And the other thing too, at night it's cooler, not a whole lot cooler, but it is. So if he was wow.
All right, I just had to switch.
Yeah, much better. Right?
Yeah, you're much better now. Yeah.
Yeah. What did this chat room think? She looks great, right?
Yes.
They were blurry before and everything. Yeah. So working at night, could have been the heat, but there was no animals, no horses, one truck, like you said. And not only, we looked, right?
He had a mule.
Or like chain marks in the rocks to see if there was some things that were dug up. And we didn't find much at all about that either. So what do you think? What do you think happened, David? How do you think you have an assumption?
I mean, I would like to think that he did it somehow, like he was just really good, a technical guy, and he knew how to do it. And maybe inside that black box was like all the pulleys and stuff like hidden in there. But like, because it's so, I mean, you don't hear any other stories of people like raising rocks with, I mean, you hear that sometimes with the stories of the pyramids that perhaps, I mean,
Right.
Rhiannon knows more about this than I do, but like just from me watching, YouTube stuff or stuff on TV, but it's like that you hear that perhaps they used some kind of like harmonic resonance type of thing to raise those rocks, that
I
they
think
used
that's what happened.
and he knew maybe he understood, like he studied Tesla a lot, I mean, who knows? Maybe he just put.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Well,
Well,
anyways, one thing I'm on.
But she thinks the same thing. Oh, they both froze? Oh, there she is. So you, Rhiannon, you think it was something other that there was this harmonics or something that was able to assist him in the lifting of these rocks?
You know,
Yeah.
Part of me's like, part of me thinks that part of him was maybe supernatural. Part of me thinks that he had trade secrets from the secret society. And part of that secret society is also knowing levitation or how to move those rocks. There's a bigger and greater purpose altogether with this story of why he picked that place. And I was honing in originally like on the place that he excavated all these things from, and I'm like, I want to go to that site where he excavated from, because I felt like he was guided somehow, some way to that place. But then there's a housing community that's built on top of it, because a lot, hey, Florida's known for Seminoles and tribal lands. Could there be something there? So I couldn't research that part. So we started focusing right on the Coral Castle, where it is now.
Okay, one thing I'm going to mention is the Tibetan monks claim that they can elevate rock with harmonics.
Yes.
And that's part of their
I saw a
meditative
video.
rituals. So that I have too. So it is something of a phenomenon, but I've only heard it.
There's a story I've heard that, I mean, I saw it on one of these TV shows, but it was like that the Mayans, they actually traveled up and around through to Florida. And then perhaps maybe some of that too knowledge was the Tequestas knew some of that stuff, or who knows? Because I mean, they have Miami Circle there, which is rocks. So, I mean, I don't know.
So it's possible.
And also the Earth's magnetic grid, the Earth's magnetic grid back in the day, how did they know the energetic high points of the Earth's grid to build? All these ancient civilizations have something in common. They're all connected on high energy magnetic grids.
Right. And Ed used to use dowsing rods. So, I mean, maybe he found that land by using the dowsing rods because it is on that ley line. And, I've seen it myself that compasses can kind of just go wacky over there, and equipment can as well. I mean, even just us going out here, maybe it's Ed trying to keep a secret. You never know.
When we were over there with you guys, that's why I was asking you about, the energy in the rocks and stuff, because that was cool. Was that Ed's bedroom?
Yeah, that's Ed's little bedroom right there. Look how tiny Ed is.
I know, and that's his actual size, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So my question, when I first spoke with you, David, I was asking you about, the energy and this kind of thing, because, there does seem to be something to the coral and the limestone and the energy there, because you can feel it. You can go into some room and feel something. You can go, and we stood in front of that. Definitely. I don't know what that was, like a walkway of some kind, and some people felt a little nauseated, some felt very little, and there was a woman there who she didn't really feel a whole lot, but then other people did. And so that's why I was asking you when we first started filming. I'm like, what do you think? Do you think it's something that it got captured and stored in these rocks? But then when we did this investigation, that was an intelligent response. So I'm thinking to myself, we said you had those meters and everything, and we were recording and filming, and we were getting answers to questions. And so I'm thinking to myself, is there something I could have gotten, kept in here? But would that have been, intelligent? But then again, we hear that spirits or energies can be captured in a teddy bear or something, like a doll, right? And something, well, could there have been something, kept or stored, if he was using some type of energy, would that have helped store another form of energy?
Well, I mean, just like even that area that you were talking about, it's called Repentance Corner, and he built this like little shed, and he used to like, kind of punish the kids if they were like too bratty or something when they would come visit. He'd put them in Repentance Corner or whatever. Maybe he knew something about that area, and wherever, maybe he went there to repent, or he went there to think about the woman he loved, or who knows, maybe he spent his sad times there, and it kind of got recorded. That stone tape theory again got recorded in that oolitic limestone, in the coral. And then you can still feel that energy. I mean, it happens with ghost stuff. It happens on stairwells a lot. So
yeah. Well, I felt it too. And what we're talking about, I went to certain areas. You will go to one part of that castle or the coral castle, and you'll feel a certain way. And then you go upstairs to Ed's bedroom, and you'll actually sense something. And so it's kind of interesting in the way that you feel differently in different parts of that coral castle. So Rhiannon was talking about, right? Are you still there? So we were talking about, why that you feel something. Why is there something physically there? And of course, this is why I bought this little chunk of the castle, because I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe if he was using, something different to help levitate these rocks, maybe he wasn't human at all. Maybe, there is something to what's in the ground. Could it still be stored in here? Because Rhiannon and even Dave know that when you go to certain areas, you feel differently. So does rock and stone store something like that? And then when, Dave took us up to his old, where he lived and slept, I guess, which was a second floor over his tool shed. And he's like, well, I want to show you something. And he broke out, his phone, and we started asking questions. And man, I was like, I thought, okay, that was a coincidence, right? And then all of a sudden we're hearing kids' voices on the recorder, and then lights are blinking during, but it was, here's the cool thing about this, right? I know I'm running away with this, but so I'm not so much into the ghost thing, right? Our family has this UFO thing. So I step back from that because it's not I don't know what I'm talking about really when it comes to this type of thing. It's not my forte, right? So I'm thinking, okay, well, it was a coincidence, right? So we're asking, Ed, are you here, or what have you? And I said, maybe it's not Ed, maybe it's a child, maybe it's something else. And we started asking, are you a woman? Are you a child? Do you get tired of people asking for Ed? And all of a sudden the lights go off. And all of a sudden we ask it again. Then there's a clicking on my phone that wasn't there before.
My Ovilus earlier said child.
Yeah, play the beginning of that again too, because you can really hear.
My Ovilus earlier said child.
Now I got that clicking at a certain time on a lot of different video, and so
that shy part is it's an EVP, like a voice of the ghost or whatever that's there. That wasn't her
Sounds like
speaking
it, yeah.
either. That's shy or whatever.
My Ovilus earlier said child.
you're like, what was that? And then the cool thing was too, like I saw it. I put it this way: I saw nothing and then heard it, and it was definitely there. And it wasn't just one phone; it was multiple phones. And then we'd ask another question. We got off track, and the girl was asking different questions, and no response. And you go back to that same question, and bang! It blew the lights out. Did you got the video for that? Were you able to get that one?
And so those colored lights there is like, you'll see those, like that long string of colored lights. Those are EMF, individual EMF meters that, like, they only light up if they hit some magnetic, an energy field. So like they should just be off all the time, or blue or something. But you'll see them. They light up. They were intelligently lighting up to your questions.
And
My Ovilus earlier said child.
yeah, there's
They
one.
don't go off there. They don't go off there.
But they're individual lights, or are they daisy chained?
They're individual. But if they daisy chain, it's because it's going through them rapidly. They shouldn't really just all go off together. They should just, individually go off. If you put your cell phone up to like one of those lights, it should just go off by itself.
Right, and that's why I was asking you at the beginning. Could the feeling that we're getting just be in here? But it wasn't. It was more than that. This might have, maybe why you feel a certain way. Like when we got in that area where the kids were punished, I guess you could sense something. But I was really taken back by it. I was really impressed. You guys were doing a great job, and Rhiannon was nailing it. She's like, maybe he wasn't human at all.
We also have We also have an EVP from David.
Yeah, let's hear that one.
Was that the children? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad, were you alone in here? Did you know of a child that would occupy this space? Did you like to have children around here at Rockgate Park? Dad, were you alone in here? Did you know of a child that would occupy this space? Did you like to have children around here at Rockgate Park?
That was very interesting. Although I have to say, when he answered you, David, now he's frozen again.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We're fine.
Yeah, we're fine, and I have no idea why my guests are freezing.
Well, they're
so
both
we-
in South Florida. Maybe there's something, to that. But is
Yeah.
Rhiannon still here? Rhiannon? Oh, wow. Okay, well, let me back. Hey, there you are. Yeah, so that I was standing right next to Dave when he had that, was asking those questions, and it goes a lot further than that. There, do you have the one with the lights that are going off? Were you able to get that too?
No, I only got that one. You told me to hold off.
Yeah, it was getting late.
Right.
So anyway, so correct me if I'm wrong, Rhiannon. Oh, geez. We were thinking, well, was he RH negative? O negative. She was looking into his blood type and realizing that the man was only like 100 pounds, and there's absolutely no way physically that it took me months just to get my patio paved, right? So the equipment that would have been needed to lift that stuff, we could not figure it out, and both of us went in with a this optimistic feel to it. We were there like you got a bunch of the stills, right? Can you show the stills where all the we had like there were cameras everywhere and
I can show them. Yeah.
stuff.
I'll start showing all the stills, and then people you can explain them.
Yeah, because they're obviously got a feed issue. All right, so yeah, so that was Prism, and then Rihanna and her husband's buddy with the beard there, and you can see the castle behind that. And so there are chairs, there are seats. You can see the chair off there to the right. So when we were getting, getting this tour, if you will, there's like a story to everything as to everything's named pretty much. Everything has a, again, you have, and Dave, the chair that he has, the one where you sit, although it's coral, it's soft. And then there was a telescope, and there was something that would help him tell what time it was. And what is that? What was that called again? Yeah, right there. That
Sundial.
What is it again? I'm sorry.
Is it a sundial? Is that what it was, or
Yeah, kind of. It will tell you what time it is, what month it is, and something to that effect. And you think to yourself, that was pretty much his actual size, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's 5 foot.
Yes, correct.
And so he was tiny and frail, and fourth grade education. And I read some of what he was doing with magnets, and how North Pole magnets seem to be stronger working for him than South Pole magnets. And it just seemed like an awful lot of knowledge for someone who had the education of a 9-year-old.
Right.
I mean, it's just mind-blowing when you think about it. And
So, Tom, what is this right here?
what is that?
Back of his bedroom. That's his
I'm sorry?
bedroom there. That's his bedroom.
Oh, that was
Second
okay.
floor, and then he's got the tool shed on the bottom, but it's the back of it, like as you enter the front of the park.
And this is just a chunk of stone in the middle of his entryway?
But you can move it. It's on an axis thing. You can turn it around.
It's on a, if I'm not mistaken, David, it's on a Ford truck axle from the 40s.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Next.
And so, why? Who knows? But again, you can take that rock, which probably weighs, God, 10, 15,000 pounds, or right, something like that.
Yep.
And spin it, and I mean, maybe if it's built Ford tough, right? I mean,
Welcome back, Rhiannon.
He loved having kids there too, so he really
Something to play with,
enjoyed
right?
it. Yeah, so he made things for them, and the little chairs and the little pools and the beds and stuff, so that people could lie on it.
Right.
And that lounger, that picture of Tom and I sitting in that lounger was unbelievably comfortable. I mean,
Right.
it was like a Tempur-Pedic, but it's a rock.
Yeah,
It's
coral.
a rock. I don't know if you have a picture of that.
I
Yeah,
think
right there.
you're sitting in it now.
I don't see it.
Yeah, it's okay. You got a bad.
But anyway,
There you are.
I was like, man, this is so comfortable.
Oh, you're right there. Yeah, my God, that's a terrible. That's a terrible photo. But yeah, but it is. It was comfortable, and I think he used to sit in that. Thanks, man. Thanks again. And
You're
you got
welcome.
more pictures in that. I know.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. What else you got? Yeah, pretty, right?
Yeah,
And
nice
you think
night.
one guy did all that, right? It's impossible.
There was one
5
brief
foot.
rain that came through though. That was bad. 1 2-minute long rain.
Oh, the one we were filming.
Yeah, the storm.
Yeah, but it just kind of added a mystique to it. There's his room. That's his bedroom, correct?
Yeah, that's entrance to his bedroom. The stairs up to his bedroom.
Yeah. Do you remember
Tom
when
was having so much fun during this. I was looking for him at the end of our filming, and I'm like, where's Tom? Where did he go? They're like, he's in Ed's room. He's
Yeah.
talking to Ed. He's up there. Things are going crazy.
behind that, yeah. So Dave and everybody, did you get a picture where we're all in the room there and the film crew and everything? And you were asking questions, and but you were asking about Ed specifically. No, and not a whole lot was happening. And then we all kind of left, and there was only a couple of us, and then everything blew up, right? Everything kind of lit up, and yeah, there you go, right there. That's when I think we got the majority of the activity, right in there, and yeah, it was like when there was a lot of people there, it didn't, there wasn't a whole lot of activity. When it thinned out and it was more personal, these lights responded, the clicking on the phones were there. You heard a child's voice. It was I don't know. I'd go back. I'd like to go back actually.
Oh, I thought about that the other day. I'm like, it's so mysterious. And the feeling is really good. So I would love to go back, and I would love to find out what the sound resonance is, because 432 hertz is supposed to be like a really calming, meditative state. So
Right.
I wonder where the children were put in that corner, if
Right.
that was more like the calming section.
Yeah, and that's something that I was looking at too. Believe it or not, just I was looking at harp. Because harp was harp could alter feeling. Sadness, happiness. Everybody has these certain frequencies will alter your mood or your behavior and your feeling, and so there is a lot to that. So again,
They're definitely altering the weather this year. You can tell that. for
Yeah.
sure.
cold fast, isn't it? Wasn't it like 40 degrees in Florida the other day?
You can totally see like that dip in the like it's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, well.
And it was so cool that it was a full moon. I mean, could it have been any better?
No.
Yeah, Halloween time. Perfect.
So you had what, like 5 or 6 different cameras going pretty much the whole time, or at least 3 or 4 anyway. And who's gonna splice this together? You guys gonna work on this together and wrap this up and make the show about it, the half hour, 45 minutes? What are you thinking? Rhiannon, you there? Oh God.
What was that?
Yeah. So you've got all these cameras, all this film footage, and it's going to be ready and edited for your show. When do you think?
We're going to try to have it done by November 15th, because seriously, this is just a different show altogether. There's so many layers
Right.
of discussion, so many layers of questions that, my other episodes were very, very quick. This one is probably going to be more like 30 minutes, 35 minutes thereabout, because there's so much content to
Yeah,
cover.
Yeah.
And
So
you're also going to be featured at the UFO Expo with
correct.
that film in March of 2023.
In Roswell.
Yes. Yes. Tom and I can't wait for that.
So
So
I do have something brief on that. Tom made that. I really like that one.
You like that one?
It's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are you going to go back, Dave, and do anything more with her on this, or are you going to
She wanted to do another ghost tour this year. I like to keep it to one a year. I don't know. I don't know. That's just, I do a lot of other places too. And just a lot goes on for paranormal people that have teams during Halloween. There's other places that we do events at, and there's like literally out of the woodworks, everyone wants their house is haunted. I have like people come out, like it's the month of October. It slows down in November, but October is just September, October, Halloween and ghosts are on people's minds. So it's, it gets a little crazy, but I go there the next time we'll go is probably just to investigate with the team. I like to take the team out at least once a year there. And usually when the weather's like, in the winter time here is just awesome weather. So, probably take them out in December or something, and we'll just do an investigation, and then we could get stuff done, because during an event we're just, people are paying money to go in there, and it's more of a lesson for people, and we're, it's an event, so it's better, especially in that place, which is outdoors, because we do stuff with EVP work and audio and recording, and there's just so many noises. You want to cut out anything that you can background noise wise.
Right.
I thought it was fun. It was perfect. I mean, it was just the right time for everything. Now, we will talk eventually about maybe meeting you in St. Augustine, David, and doing something there. One of the most paranormal cities in the United States.
I've been there. I ate lunch. I was driving, passing through, but it's beautiful over there. And I imagine it's the oldest city in the United States, isn't it? As far as I know. Is it or no? I'm not. It is, right? Wasn't it 14 something that it was? When was it founded?
Oh, St. Augustine. It's like the oldest city in the country, right? I'm not really sure, but I want to mention this to you guys too, because I've had so much paranormal activity in my life, even though our family was really wrapped up in this UFO incident, and I'm wondering, where this comes from. Does your mind open up? Are you seeing things that, once you've had an experience, there's something within you open up? So ever since I was young, I would see smudge marks running across the wall. At one point I went outside and I saw this right outside my house, like this black wall just going down the road, and it just kind of fizzled out. I was walking up towards a fire hydrant, and bang, this like wall of black went right down the road. My friends were out there. We all saw it. And it was like you couldn't see through it. It blocked everything, and then it just dissolved. And so the other time I had somebody working on my house, working on the back porch, and he had left his tool bag here, and called me up to say, mind if I can run over and get it? I got to work tomorrow. And so he knocks on the door, opens it up, and as soon as he opened it up, I saw this ball, like about the size of a bread box, go across my entertainment center. And then he slams the door thinking it's a cat, like a black cat. And it actually went around and up the staircase. And I'm thinking to myself, why do I see these things now? It's not like it's my thing, right? I've had a UFO experience, but now I'm seeing paranormal things too. And that's why when Rhiannon said you want to go, I'm like, yeah, because that's been part of my life also. So I'm asking myself, what causes this? Because some people are more sensitive than others. And I know, Rhiannon's like that. You're like that. So where do you think this comes from? Do you think that when you have something that challenges you, or something that's powerful, something that's some type of an energy, that you experience something very different, even if it's trauma, who knows, that suddenly you're seeing things that you wouldn't have normally, seen before? But the odd thing is that when friends are with me, they see it too. So it's not just me. Do we start bringing this out in other people as well?
I'm still waiting.
I got to tell you this: anybody that's had a very profound UFO experience has many people have reported connections with the spiritual side of things after they've had a profound UFO experience or say an alien abduction experience. So it could be, Tom, that you are a magnet now for that type of experience.
Not just a magnet for food, because that photo was terrible.
Yeah,
that
there's a certain energy that I think people resonate at, and like you're either like we call them ghost chillers. Like you'll go in and literally, I do events, and we'll have like, let's say 4 groups going through the Deering estate. 3 groups see stuff, and then 1 group just literally nothing. And it's usually one guy because he don't believe in ghosts. He's been drinking or something. Who knows? But it's like that guy's the ghost chiller, and so those people will never see anything, and they kind of ruin it for the whole group. But when there's a person, like I like to be that person for the group during an event, so like I can bring the ghosts in, and then they can experience that. You know what I mean? But it's usually better in a group that's full of people that resonate at that level. Now, I had a UFO experience at 18, but I had ghost stuff happen to me when I was like 12, 13. So I think that, I mean, just running a paranormal team, I can tell you that we run into UFO experts, like, you know, every now and then they parallel each other sometimes.
Right,
and I think
exactly.
Bigfoot is the same thing too. You'll see the stories where, you know, they don't know if Bigfoot's a real creature or if it's something that's from a different, you know,
dimension,
right? And maybe this stuff, you know, just kind of like, and the thing that you're talking about, that black mass.
Yeah.
I've seen it myself.
I think it just blocked him out.
Oh, no.
Mass.
Well,
So I wonder if the Coral Castle could be some type of a portal to spirits, communication, other dimensions. There has to be something there. All that rock.
Chat have any
all that
questions about it, or does anyone in chat have a feeling about this? Has anyone else been there? Because I don't think, unless you've been there, right, Rhiannon, it's hard to make sense of, right?
If you drive by it, you literally pass by it. I mean, it's small. It looks small from the outside. You can't really see anything. And you just look like it's a fort, like a tourist trap. Just another tourist trap, you know? It's so much more than that. It is really a special, special place. That's how I feel about it.
Wow. Where's home, Lisa?
Canada.
Wow. Toronto?
Burr.
Yeah.
We lost David again, so.
Yeah, I know, man. It's just, I don't know what's going on, but
we're not having problems ourselves, which is really weird. So
first time we've done this, right? And we're having problems.
We're having problems with our guest reception, not with
my
us.
connection has not been good, and I was just on this Zoom yesterday, and it was fine.
Yeah.
So it's weird. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
it's Ed.
Well, you know, it does prove something though if you look at it, you know, put the the half full spin on it. We've never had this problem before, and the first time that you're on here talking about the Coral Castle, and I just brought this in because I wanted people to see it, because it actually is from the Coral Castle, and we're having video feed issues, and we've never had that. We're on fiber. I mean, we got incredible speed. So, right, Tim? I mean, there's no reason for it.
I have good speed in my computer.
You and I,
Tom?
it's the two that actually have the stronger connection are the ones having the feed issue. Yeah, Windsor.
And I have the Coral too. I bought that as well.
Oh, you got it behind you?
Yeah.
Let me see it.
Sure. So maybe that's having an effect on your feed.
I put it up in a cabinet so it wouldn't break.
Okay. You put the rock, the stone, in a cabinet so the stone wouldn't break. Okay, I get it.
Yes, because I have a 5-year-old that likes to play with stones.
Things. Yeah. There you are, David. So we were just
I don't know what's happening.
We've never had this problem before, but we've actually talked about, you know, ghosts and spirits and this castle and everything that goes with that. And for the first time, right? I mean, I don't remember this ever happening before. We're losing signal.
I will ask, David, can you hear me?
No, he's frozen again.
You're frozen again? Okay, now this is very interesting. My Latvian friend, I contacted her, Iveta, good friend of mine. She lives in Latvia. Lived in Latvia. She's Latvian. I had her do a little bit of research, and she mentioned something about a UFO had landed on the land that he put the castle at. And I can't remember if it was the part that he excavated from, which very well could be, as opposed to the one he transferred it to, that a UFO landed there. And I thought that was very interesting element to the beginning of the story. So I already had that in my mind going into this place. Everything's connected, I believe. He could have been guided, could have been his people's.
Yeah. So this is the only pulley he supposedly had, right?
Right.
10-ton pulley.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Even if he was able to get a chain around the thing and pull it up, what would he have pulled it up with? You would have had to have been stronger and heavier than the rock. Correct?
Right.
So people are going, oh, you use pulleys. Yeah, but you can't pull a 30,000 pound rock with a 2,000 pound truck. Right? So, and here's another thing. I just want to make a point here for a second. These are the things that resonate. Hi, hey man, how you doing? So,
Welcome back.
okay, these are some of his tools, right, that he was using. Now, just looking at that and seeing them in person, just that piece on the bottom here, that alone had to weigh 200 to 300 pounds. So, how did he even hang that stuff? That's not aluminum,
He was such a tiny guy too.
Yeah, 98 pounds. And so you have all these questions and you're like, there's absolutely no way.
I mean,
So,
it's interesting. He was only 100 pounds, but he had his whole room was like kitchen cookware. And I'm like, he needed to eat a couple cheeseburgers. He was 100 pounds.
Yeah, get a sandwich.
How is he doing all of this?
And he moved that park in like something like 2.5 years or something, 3 years max, something in that time frame. And I had a bedroom built where I'm living now, and that took 2 years to build. So
you should see my kitchen. I'm going in a year and a half. Yeah.
And how would he get one stone on the truck?
Right. That's the other thing. Even if he got it on a truck and took it somewhere, how did he get it on the truck?
Well, you've seen those large stones they have at the gate there, like that. Even that one with the telescope.
Like Stonehenge.
It's like
Stonehenge.
Somebody suggested maybe an anti-gravity device.
Right. Magnetics. In the book that I'm reading, it talks about how he was able to find that the North Pole magnetism is stronger than South. Did you happen to see that in any of his writings? He actually knew that North Pole magnetic fields were stronger than South. So who knows, right?
I tend to think it was something magnetic, and he was probably singing while he was doing it, and those kids saw him,
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe a UFO just took the truck and the stones and transported it for him.
That'd be easy. That would have been done in a day.
Years and let's just build it for it. Right. So, so when you're in your documentary, where do you think you're going to go with this? What's your angle? Are you just going to leave it up to the audience to? I know you got a lot of footage, and I know a lot of stuff that you guys caught on film. We haven't shown it yet, but I was kind of hoping maybe, I don't know, if you had a little piece of the lights responding to questions and shows exactly how intelligent this was, and you have anything like that, Tim, at all, or?
No, but I do have that other video clip that we showed each other prior to the live show. It doesn't pertain to Coral Castle, but let's take a look at it.
All
and
right.
David, I'd like to hear your true analysis. Here we go.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
No, there's no sound. Just recording. Now, this was supposedly an outside security camera that had a light that was motion activated. This occurred in Waynesboro, Mississippi on the 17th of October this year.
Oh, wow.
See, the light comes on. It looks like something's walking by. It almost looks like a dress right there.
It does. And it looks like she's got a bun.
Yeah. And the dress looks old-fashioned. Yeah.
Maybe even walking with a child next to you. See that? Like a little one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so too.
Reflection.
It's
Now,
gonna show.
it's a different image, or does it look like it's a copy of the first image?
Yeah,
You
I don't
know,
know. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of people send me Ring camera stuff all the time. And the best ones do look like this. I mean, there's a ghost video I've seen of like a cat that came out of about 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think I saw
at a
that.
hotel looks like that. Because we use a lot of security cameras, especially, I mean, nowadays we have a little bit better cameras, but they're usually like this, infrared or something. And they do look like that. That's what a ghost should look like when it shows up. I mean, now is it, did someone do that? I mean, did they edit that thing and make it themselves? Who knows? I mean, I'm not like a videographer or something, like I can't tell you that. But to me, it looks like, I would say that it's real.
It's legit.
Yeah. I saw a ghost, a UFO video that came out this week that it came like a big, like it looks like almost like a cloud, and it comes down and comes back around, and it was taken on a Ring camera. It looks almost, I mean, it's the same type of that coloring, that black and white that shows up there.
That's wild.
Hey, just
Yeah,
out of
it's nice.
curiosity, how far off the ground is that? Can we take a look at that? Is it
I'll
actually?
have to start it over again.
on the
It
ground?
actually looks bigger than the car.
It does look big, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that kind of bothered me, but it could just be that they're, for instance, like the ground level in their time period might have been at a higher height.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. If it was actually two different individuals, if you will, or spirits or ghosts, then you would think the closer one would be bigger than the one behind. But it's the
Unless it's
opposite.
like a trail that's kind of following it. Who
It
knows?
looks more like a trail following it. Yeah.
Right, does, right? Yeah.
That's where you start to see it right there. And then it's like there's something in front, but it looks like I don't know, it might be walking with something. I don't know.
Yeah, I give it a thumbs up from my step, but I like that video. It's good. I would want to go there and investigate and see what was going on, and maybe look at the history of it and see what was there at a certain point. That looks like something from like maybe she's like mid 1800s, late 1800s, right?
Yeah, it has
That's what I'm saying.
Early 1900s, but not
definitely.
not later than that.
So this was in Waynesboro, Mississippi.
Definitely looks like an older woman.
And these are just still shots where I took some stills and slowed it down so you could take a look at it closer.
Hey, you know what? It almost looked like a face there for a second too. Did you see the bottom one? It almost looked like a human face.
You could see an eye. Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
show you. I have an apparition that we got at the Deering Estate. It was taken by one of the people during one of the events at the ghost tour. But let me
Okay.
see if you see the same type of dress. Let's see if I can find it here. Where is it?
Yeah, if you
You
can
think
bring
it
it
was
up,
just-
I'll put it on
Here,
screen.
Oh, here we go.
What is it about that time, that period
You
of
see this
time?
photo? I don't know. You see this? It's like taken outside of the Deering Estate, and this
Yeah, I
like
see it.
white dress kind of shows up.
Yeah,
Yeah, anyway,
with
it's very
ruffles.
strange.
With
Yeah.
ruffles.
Ruffles in it. Yeah,
Well, there
that's
you go.
cool. I've actually seen a ghost cat
Ghost cat.
couple of times. I'm not sensitive to seeing people, but I do see ghost cats. actually, for real. I'll look down by my leg and there'll be a cat sitting there. And we don't have cats. So where did the cat come from? And then all of a sudden it's gone. You know, I've seen a black cat, I've seen a calico cat, and I've seen a tabby. And so that's weird. And I've seen it where I live right now.
Interesting.
Okay? And one time, a week after one of my cats that I owned on the outside passed away, I was laying on my bed and I felt a thump on the bed behind me, like a cat jumped down onto the bed. And all of a sudden, I felt something purring up against the small of my back. And I reached back there and there was nothing there. Now,
You know,
my cat, when it was alive, used to do that. So I think he came back and visited me. So there you go.
that's interesting. That's a whole nother realm. Like, hey, there's pet cemeteries. Imagine
Right.
taking the equipment to a pet cemetery
Right.
and trying to catch something. Hey, you ask him questions. Hey, Fluffy, you know, meow. Put that
Never
on the
know.
EVP. Meow. You're like, oh,
Actually,
you can communicate with the pets.
people have caught EVPs of cats and of dogs. And one of my friends recently went online and publicly discussed an incident where he was sitting on his couch and he has a stairway that wraps around, it comes down and wraps around his living room. And he saw a black flash and he looked at it, he turned his head, and he said it looked like a cat or a dog running down the stairwell. And this happened over and over and over and over again until he realized, wait a minute, on my top terrace, which is on the top of his house, the deck, there's a built-in doghouse. Prior owner had a doghouse built into the roof. And according to them, they had a bunch of dogs and cats. And so that cat could have been a replay of an animal that used to live there.
It's interesting because earlier I mentioned that, my contractor came back over and it looked like a cat to him too. And he shut the door. I saw what looked more like a blob, but he really thought it was a cat too. So interesting.
Yeah, so I do believe that animals have spirits and that they do come back once in a while. And you could hear them too. I heard my cat, Midnight, who passed away in 2009. I heard him about a week later because he had a unique meow, and I heard it. I was on the computer, and I would swear it came through the computer. I heard it. So
I don't doubt that. And I also think that animals have like a spirit contract with people. Have you ever heard of that? Hey,
yes.
David, real
I'm
quick,
back.
since you're back on, can you hear?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we were just talking about pets and pet spirits. Have you ever thought about going to a pet cemetery and trying to capture any animal EVPs?
Yeah, I mean, I've caught stuff in actual cemeteries of animals, but it's hard to tell outdoors. I don't like cemeteries too much because it's the same thing with Coral Castle. It's outdoors. It's really hard to, you get so much external sounds going on. There's animals and, and you never know if an animal is a child or whatever or whatnot. But I've done there's a veterinarian clinic. I've done a couple veterinarian clinics. I did one here in Miami. They're also hard to do because there's a lot of animals that even if you go at nighttime, there's animals that spend the night there, because they have to. And yeah, there's just a lot going on. So it's hard to, you pretty much everything I got that I thought was something I had to just get rid of unless I got some apparition, which I never got. One of the best videos I've seen, which looks like that Ring camera video you had, was of a ghost cat though in a hotel, and it's amazing. I guess you just look it up on YouTube, a ghost cat in a hotel, and it's so good. You can see like this little tail walking through,
Right.
on the ground, and it's like black and white, kind of like, I mean, it looks exactly like that ring cam type of vibe.
I actually saw a ghost cat video where the cat runs out of a guy's house, out of one of those sliding doors. The door isn't open. He just goes right through it, and then comes into the yard, and he looks fully formed like a cat, a white cat.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, he runs off toward the side of the yard, and he just fizzles out. It was super cool.
Do you think that if you're in you spend a lot of time in an area that has an energy, you can actually take something with you?
Oh, definitely. 100%. I mean, it's happened. It happens. We call them, like, even we were talking about it when you guys were at Coral Castle. We get sometimes, I didn't get it from this particular time at Coral Castle, but what we call like ghost hangovers. And usually it's like, because we're not drinking when we're there or anything. It's, especially if we're working there and, but then the next day you're just like worn out. Like, you're like a sponge. Like, it just like
you
takes
remember
everything out of you.
How I felt the next morning?
Oh, yeah. Tom was not feeling good at all.
Like you have a flu or something, right? But you're not sick. It's strange.
You can tell them, right? So we spent the night in Miami at the hotel there, and the next morning, right, I was gone, right? I was just
Yeah, and he just looked I left him at the hotel. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm gonna sleep some more.
Yeah.
But I have a testimonial from the Coral Castle, and I'm trying to figure it out. So for the last 7-8 months, I've had like my lower disc to the right, I've had this pain. So when I get up, after sitting too long, it just aches really, really bad. And I said, I'm going to go to the doctor eventually when I'm done running around. I'm going to go to the doctor and get it checked out. Well, since I was at the Coral Castle, that pain is not there. Like, it literally disappeared. And I'm kind of wondering, how you use magnets for healing? You've heard about the magnetic bracelets and, people put magnets on their bodies. I was thinking, maybe the Coral Castle is kind of like one big magnet. Maybe it actually
sitting
can
on
heal
all those
you.
chairs and everything, You're really getting deep with the Coral Castle there.
Yeah. I was in that rocking chair, lazy boy that had created. Maybe it healed my back. I don't know. I'm just saying, I thought that was pretty interesting that it was like
Good,
this.
Definitely a good thing.
Yeah. The next morning, that night, I went, speaking of hangovers, it kind of hit me about right midnight or so. I was at the, where were you, the Hilton or something? And I couldn't stay up. That's how bad I felt. And then the next morning, I was just like, they were all downstairs in the lobby, and they're munching out pancakes, waffles, whatever it is, right? Orange juice and coffees. And I couldn't even eat. That's how bad it hit me. And then it was gone. It was like I was fine. Like 18 hours later, I'm all good again.
It'll hit you really bad when you do like sanatoriums or you do like, jails and stuff like that. Those investigations. I did the Broward Correctional Facility before it was torn down. And it was a woman's, it's in Broward County, and it's a woman's facility where they had the lady from Monster, they had like,
just from they tell me
whatever thing there, the 12 cells there. And she was there. Was it 13 cells? Something like she was there about 11, 12 years in that cell. And it was the only cell that wasn't unlocked because people would come there because it was abandoned at this point for a few months, and people would come and strip it, like construction guys would come strip the copper wiring, I guess, or something out of there. And basically all the doors were open except her cell. You couldn't get in there at all. And I spent like a good 4 days investigating this place. And I spent a lot of time. I like to, when I investigate, I don't know if it's the best thing, but it's not like scuba diving where you need a dive buddy. Sometimes I like to just really home in on the place and feel it out. And I just don't want anybody there because it's a distraction. I want to feel, and I wanted to feel out that place. And there was a lot of times it's such a big facility that people would be everywhere. So, I could explore on my own a little there, and it's, it's not dangerous. So
I got a question for you, David. What do you think about ghost boxes or ghost?
Yeah, I was using them there too, and we would so we use it at Coral Castle. So let me just finish this story real quick though. But when I got it, so I spent 4 days there. I get back to my place, I go to sleep, and I couldn't sleep at all. So I get up and I start taking everything off the walls and everything in the room I was in, taking everything off the wall, and then I go back to sleep. Then I wake up in the morning and I'm like, yeah, it looks like a prison cell in here. What the hell was I doing? And I think I was catching the vibe of that place, and like whoever was in me that I brought, that attachment, that didn't stay there forever. It just literally, it's like a ghost hangover you get. But that energy was in me, and I didn't feel comfortable in a room that didn't look like a prison cell, like one of those women was in me, I don't know which one, but like, and that'll happen all the time. And then, so per your question, the ghost box, we use it there. We use it at Coral Castle. I've gotten the name Ed a lot at Coral Castle. I mean, I've got the recording, I put it up on YouTube, so people see it, but like, I've gotten, when we were at TV, we have a thing called an ovulus, and that kind of streams words, and that'll say Ed sometimes, and it streams a lot of crazy stuff, like, magnetic, or it'll say.
Yeah. Oh no. He used the word obulence, right? Obvious. What was it?
Obvious.
Okay. In the very first video we ran, isn't she talking about that when we hear the noise of the voice? Can you play that? The one that's 3 seconds or 4 seconds again? I think she says that.
The one you gave me?
Yeah.
Okay.
My ovulus earlier said chive.
That was it, right?
Obulus.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So I wanted to mention something else to David too, but he's I don't know what's it's crazy, right? But a lot of people don't realize. Rhiannon knows that the Peter Riley case, the murder that took place in one of the few cases that are unsolved in Connecticut, the murder of Barbara Gibbons, who Peter Riley, her son, was charged for killing his mother, but then got off because he didn't do it. But she was brutally slain, and that murder took place on our property. And so I remember feeling things, an odd sensation. I couldn't be in the building. I couldn't be in that. What became later when they rented it was like a little rental property, but originally it was an old post office, and it happened to be on our property, and it was rented out to Barbara Gibbons and her son, Peter Riley. And I think that is where I had probably the most difficult time, stomach wise, to the point I couldn't go in there. And so we tore it down, and we planted a rose garden over it so she'd rest in peace. And I was probably about 26 when we did that. It's a long time ago. But ever since, I too have had and seen, anomalies, if you will, And so maybe that's why I was so interested when I went to the Coral Castle, because it triggered something again that I hadn't felt in a long time. So.
Well, and it made you a believer in the paranormal, because, sometimes people don't believe in that kind of thing until you actually hear it or experience it.
Yeah.
Seeing is believing. And I've seen a lot of footage that's been raw footage of the paranormal side.
Yeah. Well, I kind of believe in it, but I'm kind of one of those people that needs to experience something to really understand it, because I'm always trying to I go down this list, or I know what this isn't until I'm left with what it is, But anyway, so yeah, so if you want to do another one of these, I'm on board.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and there's a lot of other places that I've gone to. Like my second episode was the Ramon Crater, and I heard about this certain place in this Ramon Crater. It's like the most original ancient place that you could go. It's like the beginning of time. And it's supposed to be like this beautiful oasis in this huge Grand Canyon type of thing. And I heard from people that didn't believe in frequencies or feelings or anything like that tell me, they're like, there is something there. There is a frequency down there that you just cannot ignore. So my team and I, we tried to get to this place because I was determined to find it. It's not on a map. It's like a treasure hunt. And I had to ask all kinds of people where this space is. And we started walking with my film crew, and somebody stopped us. They're like, listen, it's like 2 miles hike. down into the canyon, and it was already starting to get dark, and I wanted to go there so bad, and we just couldn't finish it. So I'm like, okay, let's turn around and go back, because once it gets dark, it's absolutely pitch black. So I feel like I have unfinished business.
Mhm.
Next time I go to Israel, I want to go back to this place and try to hunt for that. That's going to be a whole another show, I guess, in a continuation. But going back to the Coral Castle, it's almost like I feel like it's unfinished business.
I get you.
I almost feel like I have that feeling.
Yeah, you feel connected to it now, and you want more answers.
Yeah.
I wanted to, if I real quick, I spoke to. I mentioned that. Do you remember the Death in Canaan, the trial of Peter Riley? It was a movie with Brian Dennehy and Susan St. James. I think it was back in the early '80s. This murder where a son supposedly slain his mother, and it was a huge murder. Well, that took place on our property back when I was a kid, and so again, I asked myself, did the UFO experience I had before that, trigger all these sightings and feelings and so on, or was it that I used to go in that room where she was killed? Did that do it? So I guess that's what I was asking earlier. Is that is it that because when you have a UFO experience or something like that, or, you're awakened in some way, or was it that I actually kept going in that because I live there, right? So I'd go in there almost every day for something because it became a tool shed, right? So why, and how did I get this paranormal activity around me all the time? I mean,
So like,
there's
I lived on a really haunted
so no one's here.
property. I lived on a really haunted property, and out of my whole family, I was the only one who ended up doing ghost stuff because I was the only one, even though they may have seen stuff in that house, I was the one who chose to communicate with it. So this is what opens up that door. You must have tried to communicate with whatever was there, and that opened you up to at least the ghost stuff, in my opinion.
I took stuff from there because it was originally an old post office, and I had grabbed some things. I still have them in my house today that are from the early 1900s. That these old postal boxes and card files and things like that. I grabbed that stuff before we leveled it. So maybe it's because I still have that stuff today.
Yeah, that probably didn't help, did it? I mean, I've got a lot of haunted objects too. I'm going to be on a show on History Channel called Repossessed. That I have a couple haunted dolls that I've gotten in different investigations. They're not super cute, either of them, but like one causes car crashes and another one, I don't know if I'm even allowed to talk about it because I signed an NDA for the show, but I don't think it has anything to do with it. I mean, this doll, because I've talked about it before, but this doll Bobo has like spirits of whatever was at this house before, and it comes from right in front of this property where I got this doll. It was causing all kinds of problems. The Ford F-150 would turn on in the middle of the night, like all the toys would rearrange themselves when the mom was there, and the dad would take the kids out to go eat and stuff like that. She'd put everything in the box and they'd be outside, like crazy stuff would happen. She's like, I don't like this doll at all. But it really wasn't the doll. The doll captured something from the property, like maybe you did, or like I might in a certain place, or certain people would. And it was Charles Starkweather killed him and his girlfriend, killed three people around that property. And supposedly, I mean, what we found out in the investigations was like the girl, at least, who was killed was running around. These kids would see this. I mean, the kids would all see it. The three kids would see this girl running around with blood on her abdomen, yelling, asking for her mother. They wouldn't even go play outside anymore. It was like, but that stuff entered the doll. So there's definitely, objects can grab whatever. In this case, maybe they were looking for a place to hide, or that was comforting to them, but like it was causing all kinds of problems. But then once I got the doll out of there was like UFO stuff happened in that area too. It's the first time that we got the strangest EVPs that sounded like aliens, or like it wasn't in English, wasn't in any Native American. It was like crazy stuff. And like, so all those, and Charles Starkweather killing people right there. Was that the spark? or was the land the spark? You know, the kid's car died there, and then their battery died, and then they got a flat tire, and then so Charles Starkweather, when they passed there, they decided, you know, they're going to kill these kids because, you know, they could. And so you wonder, is it just that property, and what happened there in the past? Maybe something a long time ago happened there. It's just like a cursed property, or just a cursed area. You know,
I believe that.
you're getting too deep.
Yeah, it's good though. It's good.
Like,
Here we go.
Tom, wasn't Amityville cursed? That property?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I got a good friend of mine who lived there after. They were the second family, and they're Chris, and he was telling me that when he went into the bedroom that became his bedroom, he opened up a closet and went inside and saw the inside of the closet was wallpapered, and he found a door and opened it, and there was Ouija boards in there and all kinds of, you know, Satan worshiping material and books and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I
It
mean,
was like the DeFeo stuff.
yeah, it was the Sons, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, he's on my Facebook. I've done some conventions with him and stuff. Good guy. Nice guy. Matter of fact, I called him from your house once. We were in St. Augustine, and yeah, we were talking about the Amityville. I'm like, yeah, let me call him up, you know.
And he did not want any part of talking about
I would
that.
imagine.
Yeah, he was investing in Bitcoin at the time. So, yeah, but he didn't want to talk about it much, you know. But you know, I get it, you know.
That
I
one
have-
photo of the ghost boy is just amazing. You know, have you seen the ghost boy that's staring out of the bedroom with the two little eyes?
No.
Oh my God, look it up on the internet. It's just like look at Ghost Child Amityville, and it's the son in
will do.
the room where he was killed. And supposedly it was from, I think the Warrens got that because they had their nephew.
Well, the Warrens came out to our property where that woman was killed, Ed and Lorraine. There it was Connecticut. You know, they were only like a couple. You know,
yeah, they did that case. That was their case.
I'm sorry.
That was their case, wasn't it originally?
Amityville.
Maybe it was. Now I'm confused. But
I know they were part of the Conjuring, but
Yeah.
when they came to our property, they stopped at the door, the driveway, you know, to the door of our house, and they just sat there, talked to each other, and said, you know, there's something here, and they left. You know, they didn't spend a lot of time investigating it, but they were in the area, and I think they just wanted to get a feel, you know, get an idea, and they talked to my family, and they tore the building down and then planted a rose garden. Yeah. So anyway,
they're
that's-
nice people, right? I mean, I know she was.
I'm sorry.
And she's still alive.
I
Lorraine?
think
Who? Lorraine Warren and Ed? No,
I know Ed died a while
They're
back.
they're both gone now.
they are right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're both gone now.
Isn't their son on the Haunted Collector? Is that him?
That's their nephew. I did a possession case. I had a possession case and I needed some help, and I called him up because I had no idea. You know, he's a demonologist, and I needed his, you know, his thoughts on things.
Right.
Things got crazy.
Okay.
he's a
Okay.
good guy.
Tom, what do you have any last comments for tonight?
Thanks, Dave, for coming on. Rhiannon, look great.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about the
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and so real quick though, so are you gonna start releasing any footage, like a teaser to what you guys, you know, captured there, or are you just gonna wait until it's all finished and just, you know?
I'm going to do a little teaser with the still photos that we got. I'm not sure I'm going to release anything at the moment other than that, because I want to layer it. And usually I pre-produce my shows, like pretty much already know how I'm going to do it, how it's going to be edited, the whole 9 yards. I had a feeling this was going to be a completely dive deep show. And I said, you know what? Don't pre-produce nothing. Just go out there, go with the flow, get the information. And I'm glad I did that because my information would have been wrong. So it actually worked out perfect this way.
Okay.
So yeah, we're going to leave a little suspense because it's just full of suspense.
There's so much. I was
Right.
there. I don't know how much
Right.
stuff you got. So I was wondering maybe we could have her back. And,
Yeah, we can have her back anytime.
And then-
Anytime, Rhiannon.
uh, of what she's going to release, because Rhiannon, you know what I saw, you know what I was part of all that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was hoping to show everyone a little bit more, but you're right. Why show too much? But what I captured on the cell phone was not, you had 4K cameras, red cameras. I mean, you had really, some serious equipment out there. So even what I had, I found to be remarkable. I really did. So
We got so much footage, I haven't even been able to dissect it. It's just overwhelming.
well,
So,
we were there for a while, outside,
oh
inside
yeah.
homes, and there were multiple cameras. I mean, not good sized cameras. You got some pictures of that, where I know you do. We haven't seen it yet, but multiple cameras from different people at the same time. So you've got a lot of different angles, right? And you're going to also do voiceover, correct? On
Oh,
some of it?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. We'll
So
be
it's
looking
going to be
forward to seeing your
interesting. It's
film.
going to be fun, and we can't wait. So I've got a lot of work ahead to put this together. But once it's done, it's going to be nice.
All right.
And then we'll be able to show it at the UFO Expo in
Yeah.
March.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know she's the director of UFO Expo.
Yes.
We didn't mention that. Yeah, you are
So
the director.
buy your tickets. www.ufoexpo.com.
Yeah, Dave, you should
Yeah.
come out, man. You should come to it.
Yeah, I'd love
And-
to.
You're
And
part
if
of
you-
I think I'm going to Chile. Well, I'm going in January. I may still be there in March. We'll see.
Thailand?
No, the country of Chile.
Oh, Chile. Wow, okay. Florida. You're going from South Florida to Chile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not sure if I'm moving there yet or not, but we'll see.
Are you
Definitely
serious?
going. I have a ticket to go January 1st, and then
You're thinking of moving to Chile?
yeah, my brother and his family live there. It's nice. It's cheaper, that's for sure.
Miami's
Things are very expensive here nowadays. So
Yeah.
especially in Miami.
All right. Well, stay in touch, and I've never been to Chile, so
Rhiannon, any last comments for this?
I want to have a beer with you in Chile. Okay, I want to have like
Yes.
a beer in Chile.
No,
Right.
just I want to thank everybody for inviting me to the show, and especially David for coming on, and Tom for
Several times.
bringing me in. And it was fun, and I love to talk about this stuff. I could talk about it all day.
Yeah.
It's my thing.
Yeah, because Dave joined us like a dozen times today.
Right. I
Here's my work computer
admire
too. I hope it works tomorrow.
I admire your persistence. I really do.
Thanks for coming back.
All
And,
right.
Pleasure. Stay in touch, and thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
Have a
Until
great
next
night.
time.
Thanks.
Bye.
To everybody who watched online, thanks for watching. To everybody who participated in the chat, thanks for watching. And good night from myself and everyone on the panel.